Every successful person has a time in their life where they disappear and level up, and when they pop back up successful, everybody calls them an overnight success. I know they called me that when I made over 7 figures online in my business with just one digital product doing a little over 900K, but they didn't see the pain that I went through. And yes, it will be painful, but if you can endure some temporary pain, then you'll be able to actually live a life that others only dream about. What does Batman and success have in common? And I know you're probably like, oh, why is this dude talking about Batman for? But look, it's only going to take me about 5 minutes to break down these 10 rules. So if you don't have 5 minutes to spare, you'll probably just end up being a spiteful person of other rich and successful people and believe that they had some type of unfair advantage that you didn't have to help yourself cope with living a life that you don't want to live. So if you don't have 5 minutes to spare, then go and have fun being an angry person at the world. But look, the first rule out of the 10 is that you gotta be like Batman and just disappear. If you're familiar with the story arc of Bruce Wayne, he went and he disappeared to the Himalayan mountains to learn all of the skills and the discipline to become Batman. And most importantly, he learned how to overcome his fear. Because if you don't know, Batman's number one thing that he is afraid of is bats. And he learned to master and use his own fear as a symbol of fear to wrongdoers in Gotham City. And he had a mentor named Ra's al Ghul. And Ra's al Ghul taught him all of the fighting skills, all of the weaponry, all of the theatrics of the throwing the smoke bombs and disappearing. He taught him the discipline. He taught him the pain endurance. And entrepreneurship, you are going to have to endure a certain level of pain. And when most people feel that pain, they quit. But in anything, in order to grow, you have to feel that pain. Even just think about your human body and getting in shape. If you go to work out, you're going to feel that initial pain because you haven't done it before. You're going to feel that initial resistance. You're going to wake up sore the next morning. And most people that never get in shape, why do they never get in shape? Because they feel that initial pain and then they don't continue instead of making it a lifestyle to where that pain is irrelevant. It's the same thing in entrepreneurship. And Ra's al Ghul taught him how to master his own fear. And look, fear can stand for two things, F-E-A-R. Fear can stand for fuck everything and run or face everything and rise. You need to make a decision on what fear is actually going to mean for you, because everything that you want, all of your dreams, aspirations, all of those goals that you want to attain are sitting on the other side of fear. But there's only such a small percentage of the population that learns to attack that fear, because on the other side of it is everything that you want. And fear, it doesn't go anywhere. It's something that you are always going to be battling on your entrepreneurial journey, because you are always going to embark on a task that you have never done before. You are always going to have to do something new that you have never done before. And there's always going to be a level of fear. But the successful entrepreneurs, they know, because they've been through it multiple times, that this is just a part of the process. And they attack that fear and they use it and they face it and they rise above it. And when Bruce Wayne was in the Himalayan mountains, he learned discipline. And this is the huge separator, because most people, they don't take any action if they're not motivated to do something. But here's the thing that you need to understand. Motivation is just a feeling. It fades. It's a feeling. It's an emotion no different than being happy. You're not happy all the time, right? You're not sad all the time. You're not angry all the time. Those feelings, they fade. And motivation is the same as that thing. It's going to fade. I'm not motivated most days, but guess what? I have the discipline to still do what I need to do on a day-to-day basis when I'm not motivated. But you need to be willing to disappear. You need to have a season of no, and you need to get your mind, body, and spirit together. Most importantly, your mind, because mindset is way more important than skill set. I say this whole entrepreneurial game is like 92% mindset and 8% skill set. And when Bruce Wayne disappeared, he came back as Batman. And guess what? Gotham City thought that Batman just popped up overnight. That's typically how success is too. People, they pop up successful and people think it was an overnight success, but they did not see the darkness that they went into to build themselves up to become the person that's able to be successful. Gotham City did not see Batman going through all of that training all around the globe, but most importantly in the Himalayan mountains. They just saw Batman pop up one night. And other people I've heard call this stuff like monk mode or something like that, but I call it going into the darkness, because you are going to go through some dark times and you are going to experience some pain. But that pain is needed. If you see any successful entrepreneur, you are looking at an individual that has endured a lot of pain. That's why they're the 1%, because 99% of people do not make a decision to withstand it. They don't know how to have a season of no. Look, the late great philosopher Nipsey Hussle once said, sometimes you gotta shut down all the fun, get the money right, get ugly on these hoes and eat. TMC, the marathon continues. But that's that disappearing. That's having that season of no. Look, during my entrepreneurial journey, I've had multiple seasons of no. I've had multiple seasons of where I've had to go into the darkness and shut everything out. I've had multiple extended time periods where I've shut down hanging out with friends. I've shut down drinking. I've shut down having sex. I've shut down watching sports, because I'm like, yo, if I'm out here losing, why am I looking at a whole bunch of other people that have achieved their dreams and getting paid millions of dollars, and I'm sitting here on the couch broke? That's nothing more that I love to do than sit on the couch and watch sports. And I did not watch the NFL for 2 whole years. And this was around the time when people were protesting the NFL because they were kneeling with Kaepernick, right? And my friends and my family, they thought that I was protesting the NFL. They asked me, yo, you kneeling with Kaepernick? And I was like, no, I'm protesting being broke. I ain't got time to watch millionaires play a game right now. They ain't rooting for me. I need to put some of my own numbers on the board. I started to remove cheap dopamine, because your brain just works on a series of ones and zeros, with 1 being something that feels good and a 0 being something that doesn't feel good. So if I'm just sitting there and I'm drinking, or I'm having sex, or I'm watching sports, or I'm playing video games or something, I'm training my brain to think that these are the things that it wants, because the brain just wants to feel nice and cozy and safe and feel pleasure. Right, so I had to train my brain to enjoy the tasks that used to register as a 0. That's why most people don't like to do the work, because the work does not feel good to them. They don't want to read. They don't want to study. They don't want to work on their communication skills. Why? Because all of that stuff registers as a 0 instead of all that feel good cheap dopamine as a 1. So I had to train my brain to enjoy doing the hard stuff. I had to train my brain to enjoy doing the work. I had to train my brain to enjoy reading. I had to train my brain to enjoy meditating. I had to train my brain to enjoy writing. The homies hit you up, yo bro, can you come kick it? Nah, I can't. Why? I'm working. I'm working on me. Now, these seasons of no, it doesn't have to be forever. But if you study any successful person, to a successful entrepreneur like Jeff Bezos, to an athlete like Kobe Bryant, to a fictional character like a Batman or even Goku in Dragon Ball Z or something, they all have these seasons where they go into the darkness, or that season of no, and they turn everything down and they focus and they level up. And when they pop back out, they're unrecognizable. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show them, as Sir Kendrick Lamar would say. Now, I know I spent a little bit of time on rule number 1, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, but I had to spend those 2 or 3 minutes on it just so you understand the importance of being willing to disappear. Now, rule number 2 is that you have to define what success looks like to you. You have to define what success is for you, because everybody is going to have their own definition of what success is. You have to define what being rich is to you, because everybody else is going to have a different definition of what rich is. So look, how do you think that you can ever become successful? Or how do you think that you can ever become rich if you don't even know what it means? You don't even know how to define it. You'll never get there. You'll just be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, or just keep on running in circles on the proverbial rat race, as everybody calls it, right? Why? Because nobody has a destination to where they're actually headed to. They're just running around hustling and grinding and then making themselves feel good by lying to themselves to cope by saying, oh, I'm on my grind, or I'm out here hustling, or I'm on my paper chase, when we don't treat anything else like that. Anything else in our lives, we have a desired destination that we're headed to. Anytime we hop in our car, we know exactly where it is that we're going, or we know the address and we type it into our GPS And the GPS takes us to where it is that we're going. No matter if there's a car crash, no matter if there's some bumps in the road, no matter if there's a detour, guess what? That GPS is going to take us to our end destination, right? We need to have that definition of success defined for our own personal selves, so we know where it is that we're actually headed to. Now, I'll tell you this, some pain that I've actually been through on my entrepreneur journey is that I actually lost sight of my definition of what success is, because I actually reached my definition of successful and rich back in 2017. Because at that time, all that I wanted to do was to wake up when I wake up without an alarm clock and go to sleep whenever I want to go to sleep, and do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, on my own time, and owe nobody nothing. I accomplished that back in 2017. But then I got off track because other people's perceptions of success started to blur my vision, right? And because I was like, oh man, I'm not making the most amount of money that I can make. Oh, I don't have the biggest business that I can make. Oh, I don't have this and this and this and that, right? I temporarily lost track of what it is that I was intended to do for myself. And once I actually sat back and reflected, it was some insecurities that were there. Because at the time, I wasn't making the most money. I might have been making around $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Not the most money. In most people's eyes, that's not a successful entrepreneur. But guess what? My bills were only around $1,000 a month. So my lifestyle was actually a lot better than a lot of the people that I thought were a lot more successful than me. Because guess what? Nobody owned me. There's a line in this movie called American Gangster where Denzel Washington, he says, nobody owns me though. And I used to pride myself on saying that because nobody owned me. I didn't know that these people that I thought were making so much more money than me, people owned them. American Express owned them. Chase owned them. The mortgage company owned them. The loan that they took out owned them. These investors owned them. So they had to work in order to pay everybody. Once I removed myself from certain situations and removed myself from certain environments and I went back into the darkness, I could see everything from a bird's eye view and be like, oh, they're still caught in the rat race. Their circle that they're running on is just a little bit bigger than everybody else's. And I started to realize that a lot of the people that look like that they're winning, they're not really winning. And then I found out later down the road that a lot of them were actually envious of me and the lifestyle and the freedom that I actually had. So now literally the other day, me and my best friend, we were having this conversation. He lives and works out in Hollywood in the entertainment business. Like he's working with these big stars. Like in the conversation we had 2 nights ago, he just name dropped a huge celebrity by first name like it was just normal. Like, this is the type of life he lives. He's like, yeah, man, you know, everybody was there. It was me, it was Will, it was blah, blah. I'm like, hold up, who's Will? He's like, Will. I'm like, Will Smith? He's like, yeah, you know, everybody knows Will. I'm like, no, bro. Everybody does not know Will. Us people, we know Will Smith. He is a 2-name star. You just call him Will, right? But we were having a conversation and I was telling him, just using analogies of people in the entertainment world, where he could see what I was talking about. I was like, yo, I would much rather be Cat Williams than Kevin Hart. I would much rather be Lil Duval than Kevin Hart. I would much rather be, you may not have heard of this rapper, but I would much rather be Currency or Larry June than Jay-Z. I want to be rich and I want to be just famous enough to where I can go to the store and don't nobody know who I am, but I'm still known enough to where I can get into the spot for free. Right? I was just using that analogy to him, and I was telling him that he needs to paint the picture of success of what he actually wants, and to not lose sight, as I have in years past, on what it is that he actually wants to do in Los Angeles and in Hollywood, because he can easily be skewed by the environment and the people that he's around and start thinking that other people's goals are actually his goals. So the conversation we were having was, put your blinders on and don't get distracted by what it is that you're in it for. And don't start to make other people's goals your goals. Don't lose track like I did years ago. But the third rule is that you have to visualize it. You have to really see it. And here's the thing about how the brain works. If you can visualize something and you can see it, then that means that it's real. Your subconscious mind is way more powerful than your conscious mind. But here's the thing about your subconscious mind. It has no reasoning ability. It believes what you tell it. The problem is that most people are just telling it the wrong stuff on a day-to-day basis. That's why if you really just close your eyes and you imagine yourself biting into a lemon, that's the reason why your mouth gets watery. Even though you're not biting into a lemon, it believes that it's real. That's why the placebo effect with medicine is real. You give somebody some medicine and they think that it's medicine, but it may just be a sugar tablet or something. They actually get healthier because their subconscious mind thinks that they have the medicine. You'll be shocked to find out that majority of surgeries that are done, the person doesn't actually need the surgery. If they just get cut open and stitched back up and they think that they had the surgery, they will heal better than if they had the surgery because their brain and their mind and their subconscious believes that they had the surgery. That's why certain dreams feel so real, right? Because the subconscious, it has no reasoning ability. It believes what we tell it and it doesn't know the difference between what's real and what is not real. So if you can visualize your end destination of what that success is for you, then your subconscious is going to start to believe it. And certain things are going to start to manifest into your life. That's how all of that attraction stuff works. It's just like how if you focus on a black Jeep Grand Cherokee, all of a sudden, now you're just gonna see and notice all of the black Jeep Grand Cherokees that are around you on a day-to-day basis, right? Now, there's not just so many more black Jeep Grand Cherokees that's in the world, but you are aware of it because you visualized it. So then you start to see all of those cars around. And here's the thing about visualization also with your mind. And remember, mindset's more important than skill set. You are not able to visualize something that does not exist. So if I ask you right now to imagine what Bata looks like, an Bata, you can't even visualize that picture. Why? Because it doesn't exist. Your brain is not able to come up with images that don't exist. So whatever that you see in your brain, it is real. Now, all that you have to do is become the person that's able to do it. And that starts by doing and implementing rule number 5, which is that you have to make a decision. Look, most people are out here failing because they're making choices. And here's the thing about when you make a choice has options. And people, they're making choices because they think that they have all these options. And they always ask themselves, well, what if it doesn't work? Or if this doesn't work, then I'm gonna do that. And then if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna do that. No, those are choices. What you need to do is to make a decision to make that vision happen. And here's the thing about decisions. When you make a decision, it is definitive. There are no options. You need to stop going back and forth and negotiating with yourself. You need to be able to draw a line in the sand and be willing to die behind that decision. When I fired my job April 1st, 2016, I did not have any other option. I had to make it work. There was no plan B. And I'm crazy enough that I took away the crutch of my 9-to-5 job because I realized once I actually sat down with myself that my 9-to-5 job was the reason why I wasn't doing the things that I need to do to become a successful entrepreneur. I had never made a single dollar for myself outside of a 9-to-5 job before I fired my job. And I say fired because I ain't no quitter. I fired them motherfuckers because I hated the life that I was living. I would physically get sick to my stomach just with the thought of going into work. And I'm not exaggerating. I would have to wake up an extra 90 minutes early, extra hour and a half, just to get ready for work so I could brush my teeth. Because some mornings when I would stick the toothbrush in my mouth, I would throw up because I'm thinking about going into a place that I despise with a manager named Dale. And Dale looked like a nerdy peon of a man that you could imagine in your brain that what somebody named Dale looks like. His pants came all the way up to his nipples, had these little glasses, he'd walk all hunched over, he'd be a micromanager. Hey, what you working on? Oh, I'm working on this. Then you come back 10 minutes later, oh, what you working on? I'm working on the same shit that I told you I was working on 10 minutes ago. I'm sorry, I'm going back into place. But I really hate Dale. And if you are watching this, fuck you, Dale. But you need to make a decision. And remember, I said your subconscious mind is way more powerful than your conscious mind. And here's the thing about it. Majority of the time, people don't realize that they're setting themselves up for failure because they're they're having options instead of that decision. And your subconscious mind does not know what to actually work on to bring what it is that you actually want into fruition, into the real world. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and there's somebody else's name on the tip of your tongue and you just can't think of the name? You're like, I know the name. It's, what is her name? What's the name? And then randomly, 4 days later, on a random Tuesday, you'd be like, Rebecca. That was her name, Rebecca. Has that ever happened to you? Right? The reason why that happens is because once you introduce a problem to your subconscious, it works on it 24/7, 365. Even while you're asleep, it's working on coming up with a solution to that problem. That's why randomly 4 days later, next week on a random Tuesday, the name comes back to you because you introduced a problem to your subconscious and it worked on it nonstop, and then it came up with the solution. So when you make a decision on something and say, this is what I'm going to do, you introduce a problem for your subconscious to actually work on solving, versus when it has options, it doesn't work on anything because it does not have a designated task to work on. That's why you hear certain people, including myself, talking about, oh, I had this idea in my sleep. Or, you know how some people say, let me sleep on it. I do that also. I have a problem I can't figure out. Be like, man, let me stop working on it right now. Let me sleep on it, because I know that my subconscious is still working on it. And guess what? I wake up with a solution to that problem, or I wake up knowing what to do, or I wake up knowing the next step. That's how this stuff works. And people that wonder why they can't ever hit their goals, and it's because they've never made an actual decision. They're not definitive about it. They're actually negotiating with themselves within, and thinking of all the what if it don't works, instead of thinking about, oh, how amazing this is going to be when it does work. Oh, I'm going to do this, and this when it does work. Oh, this is going to be so great when it does work, and move with that actual energy. Nothing happens for them in their life, which leads into rule number 5. The thing about goals is that you need to stop setting goals and start setting standards. Now, I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people when I say that, but because they're like, man, I have all these goals and I want to do this, and my goal for this year is that, and my goal for this year is this, and that. I'm like, you need to stop setting goals and start setting standards. The reason for that is because we never rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our standards. Think about this. Every single thing that you have set a standard for, it is the standard and it is the norm. So you don't need to set goals. You need to start setting standards. Like, there's certain water that people refuse to drink. Why? Because they set a standard to have certain spring water, certain alkaline water, or whatever the types of water that certain people drink. They set that as the standard. There's certain foods that I used to eat when I was a kid and whatnot that I would refuse to touch with a 10,000 foot pole now. You see pig feet when I was little. I am above that. I set a new standard to not eat a dang on pig foot, right? Why do I not eat that anymore? Why? Because I set it as a new standard. People will set goals of losing 25 pounds instead of setting a standard of being a healthy person. That's why they're always on new diets, and they're always on whatever the new fad is in the workout world every 6 to 8 months or so, because they haven't set a standard on just being a healthy person. People will have a goal of having so much money instead of having a standard of what they want to have in their bank account, right? Like when I first started this, the new standard that I set for myself, I started to set new lows. The new low that I wanted in my bank account was $10,000 when I first started out. So I'm like, once I got up to $10,000, that's the new standard. If I got $10,000 in my bank account, I'm broke. The homie hit me up, yo, let's kick it. Nah, I'm broke because I only got $10,000. Oh, girl hit you up, oh, you want to do brunch? Let's do a Sunday fun day. Can't do it because I only got $10,078. Can't make brunch, baby. I'm broke. I ain't got it. And then also, when most people make goals, their goals are outputs instead of inputs. They got it all backwards. So like, say somebody that wants to grow a YouTube channel, for example, they'll say, well, I want to get 100,000 subscribers by this date. And then when they don't get 100,000 subscribers by this date, then they be like, oh, well, I didn't get my goal. And then they just quit stuff. That's an output goal. The output is the 100,000 subscribers. They don't focus on the inputs. So even if you did have goals, the goals need to be the input. So instead of saying like, oh, I want 100,000 subscribers by this date. You need to say that I have made the decision to be disciplined and dedicated to my YouTube channel to post 3 videos per week for however long it takes for me to become a good YouTuber. Right? That's an input goal. And then the bypart of you becoming that person that makes good content, a byproduct of that is the 100,000 subscribers. But the 100,000 subscribers isn't the goal. The goal is to become a good YouTuber. But outside of that, remember, we never rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our standards. So start setting new standards for yourself. Start raising the bottom instead of trying to raise the bar. Raise the floor. And number 6 is that you have to learn something new every day. I don't let a day go by where I don't learn something new. The only separator between rich people and poor people is simply that poor people don't know how to get rich and the rich people do know how to get rich. It's simply just an information and knowledge gap. So I'm like, what is it that rich people know that poor people don't know? And a lot of people, they feel some type of way when I say poor people, but POOR is an acronym, P-O-O-R. POOR stands for passing over opportunities repeatedly. Poor people stay poor because they don't take action now, and now is an acronym also, N-O-W, no opportunities wasted. So people stay poor because they're passing over opportunities repeatedly because they don't take action now, no opportunities wasted. And the reason why most people stay poor, which leads into number 7, is because they don't see the problems in their life as opportunities. Because every single problem that exists is an opportunity to make a lot of money, because that is the only thing that people spend money on. Just think about the last thing that you spent the dollar on. You spent it on something that solves a problem in your life. That's all that humans spend money on. We spend money on solutions. But poor people stay poor because they're passing over opportunities repeatedly, because they are running away from each and every single problem instead of figuring out a way of how they can solve that problem. Because once you solve that problem, once you come up with a solution to somebody else's problem, you can sell them that solution for a profit. Which leads into number 8. You need to obsess about coming up with solutions to other people's problems. People will happily give you their money if you have a solution to something that they are having a problem with right now. And a lot of people, when I tell them this, they wonder on like, what problems should they solve for people? Something that I've done literally the entire time that I've been an entrepreneur is that I fixed my own problems and then I sold the solution that I figured out for myself to other people that have the same problem. I used to pray to God every single day for opportunities. I never in my life have prayed or asked God for money or anything like that, but I have prayed for opportunities. And I remember one day I was like, man, God, why do you keep on making all this stuff so hard? Why am I facing all of these problems? It's problem after problem after problem. Please, all I need is one opportunity. And then one day it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, God has been giving me the opportunities all this time where I'm sitting in my own, woe is me. I just have so many problems. And God is like, here are the opportunities that you are praying for. And once you fix it for yourself, you now have a solution that you can sell that solution to somebody else that is going through the same problem that you once had. That's the best way that you can start a business online. And once you have that solution, which leads to number 9, you need to package that solution in a vehicle of a digital product so you can deliver it to the person that is going through the problem currently. Because a digital product is simply just a vehicle. Just think about what your car is, right? Your car takes you from where you are right now to where you want to be. So if we know that somebody has a problem, that's where they are right now. But the desired situation is that they want the solution. So we can package up that solution in a digital product to simply deliver that to them online so they can go from where they are right now to where they want to be. And then once you have that digital product created, at least in number 10, you need a system. And system, S-Y-S-T-E-M, stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. This is how you actually make more while working less and get your time back, like all of them that you see on the screen right now. So if you're ready to make more working less online from stuff that you already know, go ahead and click the link down in the description and join this Credit at the Top community. For weekly coaching from myself, all my exclusive trainings, plus a private community and entrepreneurs, all designed to grow your business online. It's only $47 a month to join right now. That's less than a cup of coffee per day. So click the link down in the description to tap in, and I'll see you on our coaching call this Wednesday. But look, if you create a system for yourself to where you only have to do the work once, implement that work that you did into an actual system, and that system can work for you 24/7, 365, you'll be able to get paid forever for the solution that you came up with once. So go ahead and click the link down in the description if you want to tap into the community, and I'll see you on our coaching call this Wednesday. Go ahead and check out this video right here on how you can create a digital product in one day in that system that'll make you at least $100,000. It's Credit at the Top.